Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patrons, Brian T, Jules H, and Carl C. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. First up today, Sawyer said that he broke the news about this new ultra red color for the Model S and X that does cost $3,000. The old red has indeed been discontinued, but if you watch Electrified, you know that we talked about this on Tuesday of this week. It also looks like a new red color will be released in China as well. They're calling it Flame Red. I do think there's a chance though it's the same red as we're seeing with this new variant, just a different name for the Chinese market. Now that the news has officially been broken, I am able to share the image that I've been dying to share with you guys. So here it is. What do you think? I would imagine outside under the sunlight, it may have a little bit more pop than it does sitting in the factory. However, for $3,000, as I said on Twitter, it's a great color. I enjoy it. But if I'm already spending that much, I'd probably pony up a couple extra thousand more and then go get a custom wrap so I can have a unique color along with a bit of protection. I am pretty curious though. Let me know which red you prefer, the older, more cherry red or this darker red. That's officially being dubbed Ultra Red. This is supposed to be the new Ultra Red, and this would be the comparison for the Midnight Cherry. So the Midnight Cherry is a bit darker. Here's the new Ultra. Here's the Midnight Cherry. Pretty close, but a little different. And so far, yes, sadly, it is only for the Model S and X. And this right here is honestly something that I've thought about now for years. Elon Musk is planning a Texas utopia, a town of his own. This new development would be along the Colorado River where his employees could live and work. Executives at the Boring Company have researched incorporating this town in Bastrop County, about 35 miles from Austin. Or Bastrop perhaps, let me know. Elon basically wants all of his employees across different companies, Tesla, SpaceX, Boring, to be able to live in new homes with below market rent. You have to love the name for this development, Snailbrook, which is essentially the mascot for the Boring Company, because Elon encouraged his employees to do something that moves faster than a snail. And the Boring Company president said that him and some employees have at times described even bigger plans, including creating an entire city. There could be an election for their own mayor, and apparently Grimes, Kanye West, and Ye's architectural designer are also involved to some degree. One local resident in the area has been trying to gather information on this secret new development, and he said they want it to be secret. They want to do things before anybody knows what's happening. Sounds just like Elon. Just move fast, go at your own pace. We know via public documents that Elon and his organizations have bought about 3,500 acres of land in this area, but some people are saying that Elon owns even more land, as much as 6,000 acres. And these plans are not just for a new community development for his employees, but the plans include a project to build a private residential compound for Elon that potentially would be some distance from the planned town. We haven't heard much about this project because sellers of the land so far have been required to sign non-disclosure agreements. If you'd like to start tracking this, an entity called Gapped Bass LLC, of which state records show the Boring Company president, Mr. Davis, is the president. They now own more than 200 acres in the area, all purchased within the past 2 years. Gapped Bass has already filed paperwork with Bastrop County to build 110 more homes in the planned town, which is being dubbed Project Amazing. Street names Boring Boulevard, Waterjet Way, and Cutterhead Crossing have all been approved. One of the properties in development may be converted into a small Montessori school for about 15 students. Speaking of the people leading this development, the director of tourism said they're very respectful of us, but they're in a hurry. The status and location of Elon's potential house or compound could not be determined. People familiar with the plan say the town is a separate project. Some of you know, outside of Electrified, I'm pretty much all the way back into the fitness, wellness, and life optimization game. Life had bumped me off course for the past 3 years, but prior to that, it was a huge part of my life. I just got my results back from a stool sample, and I won't share the detail here, but let me just say I'm so grateful that I did this, and I was absolutely on the right track, that my gut health was causing problems for me. For now, I'll just say beware of parasites. Shout out to Ritual, the sponsor of this video, but the truth is, I'm now working with a world-class gut health expert, and part of my protocol right now includes Ritual's Synbiotic Plus, Pro, Pre, and Postbiotic. I can't stress enough the importance of gut health, and the more I learn about it, the more convicted I become to spread the message. Ritual Symbiotic Plus has delayed release technology to make sure that it actually reaches your colon and not your stomach. The capsules are vegan friendly, no GMOs, no allergens, no artificial colors, and they're made traceable, showing you every single ingredient, supplier, and key study. Ritual also has an Essential for Men multivitamin that contains the key tier 1 vitamins that most men are lacking today. So if you'd like to check them out, Ritual is offering 20% off your first month if you use my code electrified-20 at ritual.com/electrified-20. Linked below. Adam Jonas and Morgan Stanley put out a new Tesla stock note talking mostly about the Cybertruck. They're expecting them to only sell and produce about 50,000 units a year, making it more of a cult or niche type of product. These are Jonas's words, not mine, right here. We think it'll more likely be an enthusiast or a cult car with far more limited volume, around 50,000 units per year. Their argument number one, which will be summarized, you can pause and read if you would like. Basically, Tesla is much bigger now than they were when the Cybertruck was unveiled. Another fun fact, when they unveiled Cybertruck, Tesla's market cap was about $65 billion. Fast forward to today, and they're about 10 times bigger in terms of market cap. From that standpoint, Jonas isn't necessarily wrong. Tesla is definitely a much different company today than they were when they unveiled the Cybertruck. Their summarized argument number two is that the Cybertruck will be more of a futuristic, cultural, zeitgeist type of car to give them some brand allure, more than an actual financial incentive or impact for the company to produce at high volume. Their third argument is Tesla should consider making this a limited edition type vehicle, which isn't really something that Tesla is about, transitioning the world to sustainable energy. And they are saying that when fully ramped, they're expecting volumes no more than 100,000 units per year, and only 500,000 units of pickup truck volume for Tesla by 2030. Their argument number four is that the Cybertruck is supposed to be heavy and heavier than some of the other pickup trucks, and that's a reason they're going to have a hard time selling more of these, because it's not going to be at as low of a price point as they unveiled back in 2019. And their conclusion, we do not believe the Cybertruck poses a significant threat to the established pickup truck market, although it could eat into the enthusiast end of the market like the F-150 Raptor. Don't you worry, this has been added to the prediction tracker. If you paused and read the note, you would have seen that at one point Jonas said that Tesla has not given any production targets for the Cybertruck. Personally, I disagree. If you go back to Battery Day, you would remember Elon said there's probably room for at least unit volume of 250,000 to 300,000 a year, maybe more. Ford Motor sold more than 896,000 F-Series pickups in 2019, and I'll be the first person to tell you there's no guarantee on this comment, but Elon did say we'll probably make an international version that's smaller. Here is sales data from goodcarbadcar.net for Ford F-Series sales in the United States by year. Going back to 2005, you can start to see what type of annual volume the Ford F-Series has been doing. Don't misunderstand me, I'm not trying to argue that Tesla's going to sell 800,000 Cybertrucks a year. I'm just saying that if one company can sell a line of pickup trucks to these numbers, I think Tesla doing 150,000, 250,000 a year is squarely in the conversation. And yes, I do think that feels conservative, at least when we look at the next 5 to 8 years. Let's try to be real with this though. We have Gary Black saying his estimate for Cybertruck deliveries in 2024 is 200,000, while Wall Street sits at 92,000. So who's right? Let's use the logic that Tesla started producing Model Ys with the new battery pack from Giga Austin around the beginning of 2022. Then Tesla tweeted 10,000 Model Ys built at Giga Texas to date, and that was in the middle of September, so we'll call it 9 months to build 10,000 Model Ys that had some new manufacturing techniques. Of course, the Cybertruck has plenty of new manufacturing techniques and all kinds of new technology, so in the long run, maybe it's faster to manufacture, but to start, personally, I think the ramp is going to be slower than even this Model Y ramp at Giga Austin, which has been slower than, say, Shanghai. But this is what Elon means when he says production is exponential. Just about 6 weeks later from that prior tweet, Tesla then tweeted 20,000 Model Ys built at Giga Texas. So it took 9 months for Giga Texas to build 10,000 Model Ys. Then in the next 6 weeks, it built another 10,000. So let's just call it 10 months to build 20,000 Model Ys for Giga Texas. And finally, Tesla tweeted in Q4 of last year, Giga Texas and Berlin both hit 3,000 Model Ys per week, which is roughly 12,000 Model Ys per month, meaning it took roughly 1 year to hit a 12,000 unit per month run rate of Model Y. So the big question is the Cybertruck ramp going to be faster or slower than the Model Y? Personally, my expectations are set for slower. And yes, of course, I hope I am wrong. So what does all of this mean? Well, on Tesla's Q4 call with regard to Cybertruck, Elon said, "We do expect production to start, I don't know, maybe sometime this summer. I always like to downplay the start of production because that's always very slow. It increases exponentially, but it's very slow at first. I would not put too much thought into the start of production. It's kind of when does volume production actually happen, and that's next year. The volume production threshold for Tesla is usually 5,000 units per week." And Lars added, "The ramp will really come in 2024. So for me, for 2023 production of the Cybertruck, I'm expecting very limited volume, maybe maximum of a few hundred a week run rate by the end of this year." And yes, Tesla is hiring many different positions for the Cybertruck, which is exciting, but also should be expected. So we said what? In 10 months, if the Cybertruck is built at a similar rate to the Model Y from Giga Austin, Tesla built 20,000 Model Ys in 10 months. So if Tesla starts Cybertruck production in August, fast forward 10 months, that would take us to May 2024, and at that point, they would have built 20,000 Cybertrucks. Then if you take the remaining 6 months, maybe they're at around 12,000 per month, which is what they were after about 1 year building the Model Y. So you would take 6 months times 12,000 a month is 72,000, plus the 20,000 they had through May of 2024, that's actually 92,000. So if my mental math is correct, that's exactly where Wall Street is at for 2024, which surprisingly, personally, I don't think is that far off. To me, 200,000 seems like a lot for next year. Let me be crystal clear, I have no doubt Tesla will be able to sell as many Cybertrucks as they can produce for many years. I'm just saying early on in the production ramp, I'm personally setting my expectations lower than Tesla had the Model Y from Giga Austin. So honestly, please bring all of your counter arguments and support for Tesla delivering 200,000 Cybertrucks next year. I would actually love to hear them. In an attempt to save about $2 billion, GM is offering some salaried employees a buyout to leave the company. All United States salaried employees with 5 years of service and all global executives with 2 years of service will be offered lump sum payments and other compensation to exit the company. By permanently bringing down structured costs, we can improve vehicle profitability and remain nimble in an increasingly competitive market. Thanks, Tesla. Eligible employees must sign up by March 24th, and those agreeing will leave GM by June 30th. This is one of those situations where you have to spend some money to save money in the longer term. GM is expecting to take a pre-tax charge of $1.5 billion to cover the costs. If you follow GM's financials, you should expect the bulk of that charge to hit in the first half of this year. The Points guy shared a pretty interesting blog as he got to test Starlink Wi-Fi on a JSX flight. If you're looking for a giant dish somewhere on the top of a plane, you're not going to find it. This is the Starlink for Aviation. He said it only takes 8 hours in the hangar to get this installed and set up. He took a bunch of different devices, tested all of them. Connecting is super easy. There are no landing pages or confirmations. You just select the free JSX Starlink Wi-Fi network and you're up and running. Each device measured download speeds in excess of 100 megabits per second and upload speeds between 5 and 20 megabits per second, which is good enough to upload a YouTube video, I know from experience. More impressive though, the ping clocked in between 28 and 150 milliseconds in the 4 tests. He said streaming shows and scrubbing through them was just like watching at home. He did a Zoom call and a FaceTime call, and you can argue if you should be doing this on a flight, but he did it and there was some lag, but overall a good experience. It took him 90 seconds to download an entire Spotify album. And his bottom line, JSX's Starlink Wi-Fi is the fastest and most reliable in-flight internet I've ever experienced. Speaking of Starlink, Starlink RV has been rebranded to Starlink Roam. With this new option, which is a $50 monthly upgrade, you can now roam globally for $200 per month. Before, users could only roam within the continent used for the shipping address. I wish I had a more concrete answer for this one, but what we have is Electric calling the new hardware for forward-facing camera setup. People were expecting this to be a 3-camera setup, and although it kind of looks like it, this one is apparently a dummy camera, at least according to Electric. In their defense, they're saying this is coming from the Tesla service manual, where it says the bi-camera assembly, that means 2, has cutouts for 3 camera lens assemblies, but one of the cutouts is populated with a dummy camera. It just seems the antithesis to what Tesla is about. I'm still looking into this and researching it to try to figure out what's going on here. If you have any insight or any roads to lead me down, please let me know below. Maybe Tesla has plans in the future to do something with a 3rd camera or a sensor. Probably not LiDAR like some people are suggesting, but at least for now, it looks like Tesla's hardware 4 will only have 2 forward-facing cameras. Don't forget, check out Ritual, linked below, get your 20% off, and please get your stool checked if you have the means. You never know what you may find. You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.